So here's the other thing this reminded me of. What's the thing, like Mr. Nuclear or whatever it is that's from Back to the Future that he has sitting on the back of the car? What
Mr. Fusion.
Mr. Fusion. I felt like this was Mr. Fusion. Do you see what I'm saying?
Of course.
That's obviously the image. I was like, that looks like fruit juice. But then it also reminded me of like the nuclear symbol that's on the back of Mr. Fusion. And this would definitely power the flux capacitor. So so you see where I was going with this. You see where this is completely, right? Like you got it.
This is the discussion we'll have. Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to I Like Batteries, the show where we explore the world of batteries. I'm Jeff Lynch.
And I'm Mike Muldoon. Good morning, Jeff Lynch.
It is morning. We love mornings.
We do. Sunny. We love sunny mornings. Even better.
Well, I like, generally speaking, I like mornings.
Yeah.
Even if I stay up too late.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I'm more of a morning person. We've had this discussion probably at least once, if not more. But yeah, I mean, let's see. It's 7:20. I've been up 4:20. I've been up for 3 hours. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Went for a run. Everything. Got things done. Journal. All the good stuff. I recharge my batteries. How's that?
That's good. Yeah. I think I need some solar to recharge mine.
Oh, you do. Yeah. You actually do. This is true. I mean, you have some solar. I mean, you get some pale blue.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what, Jeff? One of the things is we talk about safety on our channel a bit about batteries because all this stuff about batteries, catching fire and things. But found an interesting article in The Bin. So for new listeners, thank you for joining us whenever you're listening. And The Bin is batteries in the news. I guess this isn't a battery in the news, but this is more of a product in the news. But this is, I guess what I'd say is a coating for batteries. And this is, I would say I find this interesting. And this is coming from Interesting Engineering as we look at this. But it's a coating... .com. So sorry. .com. It's a coating that allows you to be able to have a single application that boosts speed and production capacity. Essentially what it is something you spray on your batteries to be able to make it better for them to, I would say, last longer. And also it says suitable for cooling plates, side plates, and battery covers and enclosures. I guess they're saying you use this more in your EVs as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, it seems to indicate that. And it seems like a manufacturing efficiency thing as well. So they're basically saying it takes less coats to get to a required thickness of whatever coating happens to be applied here. So
it's almost like Flex Seal for batteries.
Flex Seal for batteries. That's an interesting
maybe
way
it's
to think
advertisement for them.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's good advertisement for them.
Does it work with boats?
And I don't know, or screens that you want to use for boats.
Right. You know where I was going.
Right.
With that. Yeah.
I knew you were going. This was there. It says one of the quotes says, whether it's battery cells, motors, or cooling systems, we provide coatings with top-notch electrical insulation and unmatched corrosion resistance, which is important because you don't really want your batteries to get corroded.
No, that's bad news.
And they're saying it's cell-to-cell electrical insulation. And so that is just maybe an important tip as we talk about things, whether it's your batteries. I mean, check for damage to your batteries. Whether that's a small, power station that you're using to be able to power your laptop, whether it's something you're using to power your phone. Always check the cables and cords for frays. I mean, I guess we don't go over that, but that is probably an important thing to be able to note.
Yeah, especially if it's something that you're like if you're an outdoor enthusiast and you're carrying these and it's sitting in your car trunk, or like you're off-roading and stuff's maybe bouncing around a little bit, it might not be a bad idea to make sure those things are up to snuff. The other thing we did not mention about this coating spray is it's made by a company called Resicoat, Resicoat.
Yeah, which is, that name obviously makes sense in terms of what they do in terms of resins and coatings. But I'm just a side note on batteries in terms of how to protect them, which is important. But a bigger side note, and this is something that I think both of us knew, but I wasn't exactly sure percentage wise, was an article that came out from carscoops.com, which says the title says EV batteries cost 90% less compared to 15 years ago, new study finds. Were you surprised about this?
Not really. And I seem to recall we talked about this in some previous show. I like the fact that this the article on the web that we have appears to use a Volkswagen ID Buzz for their title image there, their hero image, if you will. So the cost of a battery pack, and this is typically done in cost per kilowatt hour, is how this study was done. So $1,415 per kilowatt hour in 2008 has dropped to $139 per kilowatt hour in 2023. So battery progress for you there, folks.
Well, and that's why I would say, you know what, as we didn't prep this in the show, but I was just wondering, you look back and say 2008, the first Tesla was out there, right? 2008 was the Roadster.
Yep, it was.
I think. Yeah. I wonder what the Tesla Roadster cost was back in 2008. I'm sure we could Google. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it debuted
I did
in 2008.
not realize.
The Model S in 2012 and the X in 2015.
Okay.
I mean, the Roadster was a $100,000 car.
I wonder. Yeah. And so I'm trying to look at this. Do you know, let's see, battery wise, like how big was it?
Let's find out.
I don't know. Yeah.
244 mile range.
That's not bad.
They sold about 2,500 of them.
I'm trying to see the batteries. It's one of these like try and find the battery. Yeah, base was 98,000, so they probably tried to do something right below that 100,000 mark.
135 watt hour. Come on now.
Yeah, no, it's probably one of these things that not many people were asking that question, right? So
okay, so
we didn't find it.
53 kilowatt hours. 53 kilowatt hours.
53 kilo. So I know I'm going to give you the math on this because that's just how I think we roll with this, because you're a little bit better than that, but right? Like what's the math on that per kilowatt hour?
If it's 53 kilowatt hours and it was, roughly $1,400 per kilowatt hour, that's $74,000 just for the battery.
Yeah.
Or theoretically just for the battery.
Right.
But, crazy stuff.
That's true. Wow. That is pretty crazy. Yeah.
Which, I mean, it seems odd to think about it at this point, but it's still a significant portion of the cost of an EV, but just not as significant as it was before.
Right. No, I agree. Perfect. I just found something. This is great. I'm very happy about this. And I wanted to do this because it's my only comparison. I went back to, obviously, I've liked batteries for a little bit, Jeff. And that little bit is going back. I checked some email. I bought my first larger Goal Zero, the Escape 150. Mm-hmm. So I had the little Guide 10s, which were kind of the recharger AA batteries. The Escape 150 could do 150 watts. I actually still have the Escape 150. Nice. It's like, it would look like a thermos, essentially. But I bought this Escape 150, not from Goal Zero, but from Best Buy for $151.99.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So, and I believe the Escape 150 had 150 watt hours, if memory serves, or could do 150 watts. I'd have to look back, but that's my closest comparison to be able to do. So that's, wow. How do you like that? I've owned larger off-grid batteries for over 10 years.
Nice. Still going.
It's still going. I've replaced the battery in that because
right. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I have done it. It's actually pretty easy to take the bottom off. I've done my fair share of replacing.
We like user swappable or hot swappable. Not hot swappable. We like swappable batteries.
Yeah, it wasn't really hot swappable, but it's okay. I mean, it's all good. with these type of things. But yeah, clearly the prices come down and significantly, which means the prices for EVs have come down. But Jeff, would you ever consider running your vehicle on a nuclear battery?
If they exist, sure, why not?
They do.
Yeah,
they do. They do. I just wanted to, I just in case you didn't know, and then you did know because clearly we do a pre-show on this. And for our listeners, yeah, it's a nickel 63 battery, so it's not 63 nickels that you stack up together to be able to make this. Just to be clear as well.
So you stack your nickels, you add a little cadmium, and
you have a nuclear battery.
Oh, wait, no. Yeah.
And no, that's different. So what we're referring to is there's a article from a website called carboncredits.com. So we've got some interesting website names for sure. But it says Kronos and Yasheng, I believe that's pronounced somewhat correctly, partnership, revolutionizing power with nickel 63 nuclear battery. And what this is what, so you might ask yourself, Jeff, what is a nickel 63 battery? Do you know?
We do, because the article tells us. So it basically converts radioactive isotope into electrical energy as it's decomposing. So, and the big thing about these is they're expected to offer a lifespan of up to 50 years.
Right.
Which is
right.
Crazy.
Yeah. And what also is interesting in this is it says it's encased in robust radiation shielding case, which I think is important to prevent leakage and features thermal management system to stabilize its operation, ensuring environmental safety and mitigating potential radioactive hazards. So what's, to me, I guess we don't think oftentimes about the different types of batteries, but clearly nuclear batteries are there. I just never have heard it termed as such, right? Like if you think of a nuclear power plant, I've never heard it termed as such. But the article goes on to say the rise of nuclear power batteries is a net zero future. And what they're saying that I didn't realize is we're talking about batteries and costs coming down. It says, according to expert market research, the global nuclear battery market is projected to expand at a compound annual growth rate of 8.7 to 9.1% from 2024 to 2032. So one thing I guess I was wondering in this article, and I didn't find them going on, and maybe this is something we look at further, is so what's the energy density of one of these, right? We talk about that all the time in terms of lithium ion batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries, solid state batteries, and what's the energy density? Well, okay, well, this is great, it's wonderful, but it's saying this is the world's first to miniaturize atomic energy in a module smaller than a coin. So I was like, how small is this? And then we're definitely have to continue to go on this. But I guess I assume this was something that was like this. I mean, I live in an area near a nuclear power plant. So it's like I kind of know how big that is. And I didn't realize that there were batteries that were this small that were nuclear based. So this is definitely for our listeners. We're going to continue to do a little bit more research on this nickel 63 nuclear battery. But I guess it does make sense if you think of the standpoint, and I only know from medical side, where you look at nuclear isotopes that they're using for cancer treatments and things like that, radionucleotide lesioning and all these other parts. You can use these on a smaller scale. So the question is like, does that work? The other one we were joking about when Jeff and I saw the picture was it kind of looks like a little battery. It's green with a nuclear symbol on it, and it made me think of something. What did it make you think of too, Jeff?
Well,
so it's like I was like, could this power a flux capacitor?
Right, exactly, and yeah, it made us think of Back to the Future and Mr. Fusion on the back of the updated, DeLorean with the Mr. Fusion pack on the back.
Right, and it does make me think, like in our lifetime, the ability to have enough power to power what would be a flux capacitor might actually be able to be in a vehicle.
Yeah, the other thing that struck me about this is a small statement. We talked about it being a battery, but in our minds, because we talk about rechargeable batteries all the time, right? You're charging and recharging your batteries. Well, these don't even need recharging or maintenance. Right. So this is kind of like the world's longest single-use battery.
Yeah. So more to come on this, but I just thought clearly interesting article in terms of size and power, and we'll have to look at this more. But above what I would say our intelligence scale, because neither of us are nuclear engineers.
No, there's certainly, I'm not even close to that.
Right. Because I could probably rehab a nuclear engineer, but that's about as close as I'm going to get to it. If they had an injury, I could do that. But other than that, it's there. But a final thing to be able to talk about a little bit is something that I clearly live near the beach, and so I do ride some waves. But I'm going to be riding a wave too.
This is exciting, Mike. You have to tell our listeners more about what this really means.
What it really means. Sure. No, exactly. So obviously, Jeff and I use some products from a company called EcoFlow. And I've got a project going on that's essentially to help recharge people, as I would call it, that hopefully by the end of the year I'll be able to talk to our listeners about and actually do a little bit more. So it's the combination of a lot of what we talk about on the show and what I do every day in terms of a physical therapist. One of those things is that I'm going to need to be able to have a portable trailer, so to speak, to be able to that I would like to keep at a temperature that is comfortable for the users, right? So, and obviously in New England, we're hot and we're cold. Well, EcoFlow has a product called Wave 2, and they had released this a while back, but I had not really been interested in it and not done much research on it. But I have recently, and I have a Wave 2 that's hopefully coming the end of this week or next week, so I'll be able to do a little bit more. And maybe I'll actually have the Wave 2 on, and we can see actually if the decibels for it are there. But what is the Wave 2? Well, the Wave 2 is it's a heat pump, Jeff.
I'm excited about this.
That's battery powered. I know, because you like heat pumps. You are a heat pump fanatic.
I would say I'm a proponent of them.
Proponent. There we go. Yeah. Good use. Okay, proponent. So this is, and we've gone over something like Zero Breeze that does cooling, but obviously with the Wave 2, it does heating as well. It does have a battery pack that you can purchase. That's kind of fits on the bottom. I did not choose to do that because I do have some EcoFlows, and I'm going to try and run off my Delta and my River as well. But it does do heating and cooling. It says it lasts for 8 hours in terms of how long it would. And in terms of sound, it's 44 decibels. It also says it uses R290 to provide its refrigerant. Do you know what R290 is?
We do because we read about it.
Yes.
It's propane.
Yeah, which I was kind of like, ooh, I've got propane, but then it's a natural hydrocarbon refrigerant that's used in refrigeration and air conditioning systems. So it's actually a byproduct of natural gas refinement and is non-toxic and environmentally friendly. And by the way, I'm taking this from EcoFlow's website. The R290 has a low global warming potential, or a GWP, and doesn't deplete the ozone layer. It's also efficient and has high therms. So how do you like that?
I like it. They're trying to say it's good for the environment, although natural gas refinement may or may not.
Yeah. Maybe better for the environment. How's that? Better.
Not worse.
Because I think that's where we're going for right now. Not worse, yeah. That's where, the reality is we've done a lot to the environment at this point. We're just trying to get not worse. I think that is where we're going for,
I think we got to, that's...
Yeah, we got to do a lot, which we're trying to do. But maybe with the batteries and things like that, we're trying to make people a little bit better for the planet. Trust me, both of us do. You might ask yourself, hey, what about this in terms of how many BTUs does it have? Well, 5,100 BTUs of cooling and 6,100 BTUs of heating. And when you look at that, they say it's probably about 100 square feet to 120 square feet. It can cool or heat fairly well, which for me,
that's about right.
Is perfect. That's about perfect. In fact, it's going to be a little smaller than that, but I can obviously test it in the battery shed, which is also awesome. And because it's EcoFlow, it's controlled via the app, which I like as well, to be able to remotely control this. So I'm very excited about this for the wintertime in the battery shed, to be able to literally like pre-warm the batteries, but also pre-warm it so when I go in there to do work, it's actually a little bit warmer than walking in and having to do that from inside the house. The other thing I want to review here is, what is BTU, Jeff? Because we've talked about BTUs before, and maybe in the past we've touched on it, but just for our listeners who are new, or even maybe a review for folks, because we like to review things. Do you know what a BTU, what it stands for? I think
most of us probably could come up with British thermal unit, but
yes,
many fewer of us, including Mike and I, really understood the magnitude or lack thereof of what a single BTU is. and
Right. Yeah. Completely.
it was
No,
kind of
I mean,
hilarious,
completely.
actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
one
yeah.
BTU is roughly equivalent to the amount of energy released when a single match is burned. Now, of course, this
Right.
raised a lot of questions
we're-
for Mike and I, which was like, what kind of match? Is
It
it one of
did.
the like little paper matchbook ones? Is it a wooden stick match? Is it the longer ones you use for? I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know about the match, but and I think my son just had a birthday, so we could actually we didn't use a
sparker?
match. We used one of the little lighter things.
Yeah,
The sparker. Yeah, sparker. Thank you. Yeah, we'll try and do this, which was battery powered as well, sparker. Which I believe. Wow, how many years ago did you get me that for my birthday? I think it was, but we'd have to put this if we had show notes. We keep talking about it. If we put Sparker in the show notes to be able to look at that. But
we could put it in there. Yeah.
It's always a constant thing. Oh boy. But also it says, and I guess it's used to measure the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 pound of water by 1 degree Fahrenheit at a temperature of about 39 degrees Fahrenheit, which is when the water has its greatest density. This was also interesting to me. So I didn't know water has its greatest density at 39 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is what I love about I like batteries is hopefully people walk away and they learn things about batteries, about something. But this is also if you're in an area that's warm, every air conditioner that you're looking at shows BTUs. Right? And you're like, yes, I just need a lot because I want to be cool. Right. Like, so here's the other question I didn't ask you in the pre-show. Is it about blowing the match out when you think about cooling? Is that more what it is? Because I'll be honest with you. I think this Wave 2 is going to do great because there's no way I could blow out 5,100 matches in one breath.
No.
I mean, I'm long-winded, but not that long-winded.
Yeah, you would kind of, I think your lungs would need to be bigger. I mean,
maybe, but
well, we haven't. We'll have to apply some science to that. And see,
I feel like we're gonna have to light a bunch of matches and see how much heat. I feel like you put 10 matches together. You put your hand up. It's warm.
Well, it's and it doesn't say over how long that energy is released, so that's why.
This is what
it says when it's burned, not when it's just first lit. I don't know. There's so many questions.
Maybe they think of more of it heating than cooling, but. So the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 pound of water by 1 degree, which normally, well, I guess I'll go backwards here a little bit, is that I think 1 gallon of water is about 8 pounds. But I never go the other direction to know 1 pound of water is how much water?
How's 16
that?
ounces.
And did you do some, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, 16 ounces. And I think most of us can relate to that. Huh. Right. So 1 pound of water by 1 degree Fahrenheit at 39 degrees. Very interesting. I mean, I just
and the 39 degrees
conceptualizing
water
that
thing. I was like once it starts dipping below 39 degrees, are we starting to not be water anymore?
Well, or is it? No, I think they're just relating to that. It's its greatest density. So is it? Which is because 32 degrees is freezing. So that's fairly interesting to me, though, that, and I've never thought about this in terms of heating or cooling, is that, so at 39, we're good. But is this like make sure you keep your batteries at 20% or above, or, 80% or below, and really, as much as you think of it's 32 degrees out and that's too cold, is that why? We're completely going off script here, but I'm just philosophically thinking about this. You ever had it where when you're outside and it's snowing and it's 30, like it's cold, but if it's raining and it's like 38, it feels way colder? That's just to me when I've been out running or something else like that, because you're wet and it's cold.
Yeah, I mean the water is
actually harder. It's harder to warm up there. Yeah,
more easily transferring that temperature to your body, right? So,
well, 39 degrees and rainy would be like, I feel like that's
very cold.
Yeah. That feels cold. And also, I feel like you get more wet, and maybe you do get more wet because technically what they're saying is the water's more dense then.
I think that's more of an efficiency thing, but we'll Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is all good. This is all good. And by the way, folks, if you have something that you want to correct us as, feel free to email us, power@ilikbatteries.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, I Like Batteries Podcast. You can go to our X at I Like Batteries, or you can go to i.like.batteries and maybe send us a picture of that on Instagram. But that works as well. We don't have Snapchat. We don't have TikTok. I'd say yet, but I mean, it's kind of, it's difficult to be able to be somebody who, I guess I would say, is a hobby-based type of thing that and have all that stuff going for us.
Oh, yeah. One other thing
maybe
we
somebody
have
else
not mentioned.
Sure.
Well, two things. Three things?
Yeah.
Three things. One, well, I'm looking at stats here. So it's 20 inches by almost 11 inches by 3.6 inches. Oh, that's the add-on battery. Sorry.
I was going to say that doesn't. That's okay, because I was like, I'm pretty sure when I looked at it,
it doesn't.
It's bigger than that, but that's it. It's decent size. I mean, it does.
The specs don't say. All right, I got confused. I apologize.
Yeah, I'll have to measure. I'll have to do the old school actually measure it.
The battery chemistry, which is not always listed on these things, it is an NCM lithium ion chemistry, which is nickel, cobalt, manganese.
It's not going to be for me, though.
I'm saying the add-on battery is. I'm
the add-on battery
coming full circle. Yeah,
so see, that's
we like batteries, so we have to say
that's why I didn't go with the. Yeah, we do, but that's why I didn't go with the add-on battery, and part of that is being the fact that I could stay in the EcoFlow ecosystem. How's that? Is that I could go ahead and get, use my Delta 2, or sorry, my River 2 to power that. For sure, which is a lithium iron phosphate. And I kind of have what I call my battery hierarchy of in the shed in terms of like one's powering the other. And I'm constantly trying to balance them off. I did upgrade the EcoFlow app, and I'm trying to do some things to make sure what I would call my battery balancing is better, so that each of them are kind of in their sweet spots between that 20% and 80%. So I do have them shut off. And then I'm trying to get these automations right, where essentially when that happens, hey, go ahead and start charging the other battery pack, right? And to be able to bring it up. And then it's the ability to like, how do I then discharge them all? Which is kind of that important philosophy, right? And that's how the load balancing of it works in essentially an EV, right? They're looking at it and saying like, which cells are better? It just, for me, I have added to my power stations over time. I mean, if money was no object, sure, I could do whatever. But, and also knowing that there's different chemistries of my river, my original river, right? And so I don't have as many charge cycles on that versus my EB3A, that's a lithium iron phosphate battery, or, my River 2, that's a lithium iron phosphate. So for me, it's also then how do I discharge these effectively, and then be like, okay, just power off of this one. And the beauty is, what I do like about EcoFlow is I can sit there and say, okay, turn the AC on in this one and turn the DC on in this one, and try, move some things or move power around and charge this power pack. Or, I have it where I can turn the lights on in there if it's nighttime automatically off USB-C pretty easily. But I'm excited to ride the wave for this. And I'm excited to be able to essentially, honestly, test this for our listeners. I also wanted to give another milestone that I thought was pretty important.
What before that? 12 by 20 by 13. So down to the dimensions. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. 12 by 20 by 30. That sounds more,
yeah. Go ahead.
Based upon what I saw, yeah.
What's the other milestone?
But which is, the other milestone is surpassed 1,000 views. So thank you to folks who every once in a while go on what I may hope to have a growing YouTube channel, but one of the reviews on the Marlboro has now surpassed 1,000 views. So that's kind of my segue of saying, hey, thank you to our listeners for listening to the show for multiple times. Obviously, this is episode 212. Thank you for listening in previous shows. Feel free to go back and listen to something different when you go in. But we just want to say thank you for taking the time to spend and listen to us talk about batteries.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thanks.
Stay fully charged, or at least 80%.